Greetings, this is Delta Nova, bringing you a critical report. Today's topic, Stop Killing Games. For those who aren't aware, Stop Killing Games is a consumer rights initiative founded by content creator Ross Scott. The initiative enjoys the support of basically everyone. Okay, great, so let's consider a hypothetical scenario. Suppose the guys at Arrowhead came in one day and said, "You know what? F this. We're out. Everyone shut down the servers and go home. We quit." And then they flop down on the couch and start smoking pot. All right, so not ideal. But don't get worried, because the following day, they leap to their feet and fling their bongs across the room, because they had an inspiration for a whole new game, perhaps a whole new genre. They call it Pot Divers 3. In a departure from industry trends, gameplay will be slow and confusing. Eager to share their vision with the world, they rush back to the office. Before long, they're back in the groove and things are going great. But then someone says, "Wait a second, guys. Take a look at this." There's a news item, and they aren't sure what to make of it. Following a period of intense deliberation, including input from all key stakeholders, the European Parliament has just ratified the Stop Killing Games Law, a comprehensive legislative package declaring video games to be immortal. Setting aside the philosophical implications, the Pot Divers 3 team is slightly concerned. If this was some kind of vampire game, that would be one thing. But PT3 is more of a napping simulator. And the boys aren't sure of the best practices in the field of immortal game development. And yet, a moment later, their concerns are thoroughly allayed. As if by magic, an entire consulting industry has sprung into existence with the single goal of helping studios navigate the SKG compliance process. The gaming industry is no stranger to consultants, and gamers everywhere are grateful for the influence they've had on the hobby that we struggle to enjoy. It's truly wonderful how consultants seem to magically appear at the slightest hint of a regulation. In any case, compliance is assured. Except there's a slight issue. I'll bet you really wanted to play Pot Divers 3. I'll bet as soon as I said the name, you started theory crafting builds, and you started freaking out because it wasn't on your computer right this instant. So when's it going to be there? Well, it's coming out in December. Except it isn't. You see, within the field of economics, there's a famous saying. It goes like this: there's no such thing as a free lunch. And what it means is that you can legislate any outcome your heart desires, just not for free. Somewhere someone is going to pay for it. When Ross says SKG won't have any downsides, he's trying to sell you a free lunch. He's telling you that we can have a law that dictates how you're allowed to make a game, and it'll cost us nothing. He's declaring an exception to the laws of thermodynamics for people who have good intentions. For example, when Ross says studios need to have a plan for end of service, he's putting engineers in a conference room with a lawyer. Because if a plan needs to comply with a regulation, lawyer's going to have to take a look with an engineer to walk him through it, probably more than once. The point is, if you have a mandatory anything, even just a plan, you're pulling devs off the game. So in the case of Pot Divers 3, instead of releasing in December, we're looking at more like Q4 29, maybe-ish. Consider it like this. Think of SKG as a feature, just like matchmaking or proximity chat. Just like any other feature, adding it costs time and money. So if you add it, you have to take something else away. Could be some optimization work for the PlayStation, or stability improvements for a PC. Might be a balance pass, or a bug fix, or it could be the release date. And this brings us to the falsehood at the heart of SKG. It's the idea that SKG is a thing that we will do to them. We're the good guys, they're the enemy. We lay down the law, they comply with it. Associated costs, if any, come out of their end. That's implicit. But here's the thing. If you think Microsoft has the slightest intention of paying for your fucking law, you're delirious. Sure, I'll give you SKG, but they'll take something else away. And we can argue about what SKG would cost, but no matter what it is, it's coming out of our end, not theirs. That isn't how they operate. And by the way, they aren't scared. The ESA releases a statement, and you get videos claiming, "The industry is terrified." Guys, it's a statement, not a mental breakdown. It was written by a robot, and nobody is terrified. Do they like SKG? Well, no one likes to be told what to do. Is their universe imploding? Well, they aren't going to pay for it, so no. But there is someone who might be scared. Let's consider an alternate scenario. Over on the other side of town, an indie team is working on their new IP, Kitten Frenzy. The concept is deceptively simple. It's a squad-based co-op experience where you and up to 3 friends attempt to bury a turd. So far, they've got the kittens and they've got the litter box. The core idea is solid and the gameplay is starting to come together. But then, one of them looks at X. Oh no. The EU just passed a new regulatory compliance framework for online games. It's no longer allowed to just have an idea and make a game. That would be irresponsible. You have to demonstrate a plan that guarantees, in the event you discontinue service, Kitten Frenzy will nonetheless remain playable up to and beyond the heat death of the universe. In some form. Well, no big deal, right? We'll just write it down on this scrap of paper. 10 minutes. Well, not so fast. You don't just write down a plan on a random piece of paper. The EU has requirements. As we discussed, there are firms that specialize in SKG compliance. Unfortunately, the Kitten Frenzy guys don't have the money. The guys realize that game development isn't a thing you simply do. It's more of a thing where you request permission. And on a side note there, it's always best when people need permission to make art. Ask any totalitarian regime. Their stance on art is always remarkably similar. At any rate, Kitten Frenzy won't get made. But on the other hand, you and I will never hear of it. So for us, tree forest. Now you might say, Delta, how could a thing called Stop Killing Games kill games? That's contradictory. Well, to that I say, it isn't astonishing. When good intentions come in contact with reality, very often the result is irony. And as a final note, I gotta wonder, just on the level of basic common sense, are you guys sure inviting politicians into game studios to legislate all over everything is a wonderful idea? Because to me it seems more like the type of thing where you look back later and say, and that's when everything went to shit. Ideas of that nature have a certain contour. It's unmistakable when you've seen a few of them. Well, guys, thanks for listening. This has been a Critical Report. Until next time, Delta Nova signing out.